this evening. I don't have to tell you who I am or that is. You know. The reason that we're here this evening is that the loss that we sustained 20 years ago was to the community. It was to the members of this community, it was our friends and our neighbors. And that needed to be recognized, that needed to be addressed with the community. So that's why we're here. What we lost that evening was not just members of our resident. We lost members of the Special Ops branch of the fire department. They lost a tremendous number of people.
Be careful how much you say, because
is that your...
You're treading on
Gotcha.
the history.
Okay, thank you. So what we're going to do, what we're here to do, is to hear your reminiscences. What you remember of that day, what you think is important to the rest of us to know. So please, take my place here. I'm going to play a little guitar later, but right now I want to listen to what you have to say. Why don't you start us off?
Okay, all right. Linda Heimer, I spoke with her today, and I've been talking back and forth with her for a couple of days, but she said something today that she asked me to read to everybody here. Maybe, I don't know if we can come a little closer. Just, I mean, I know I'm telling you to back up, and then I'm telling you to get closer, but do both. Do both. Okay. So this is Linda Heimer took several photos on 9/11. I'm just going to read what she sent me. It'll be better for all of us. She took several photos on 9/11, which appeared in the September 12th edition of the Main Street Wire, the special edition. She was also involved in the 9/11 memorial services we had in the years following that we did as part of Rero. She regrets that she cannot be with us today because she is in rehab, as many of you know, after being struck by the car on Main Street on August 22nd. She sends the following contribution. On September 10th, 20 years ago, 246 people went to sleep in preparation for their morning flights. 2,606 people went to sleep in preparation for work in the morning. 343 firefighters went to sleep in preparation for their morning shift. 60 police officers went to sleep in preparation for their morning patrol. And 8 paramedics went to sleep in preparation for their morning shift. None of them saw past 10 a.m. on September 11th, 2001. In one single moment, life may never be the same again. As you live and enjoy the breaths you take today and tonight, before you go to sleep, in preparation for your life tomorrow, kiss the ones you love, snug a little tighter, and never take 1 second of your life for granted. The author of this is not known. That is Linda's contribution. Anybody would like to say something or read something?
All right, so yeah,
Vicky,
so right
okay.
here. Right after 9/11, a group of residents on the Residents Association decided to plan and have a memorial for the neighbors we lost. The firemen, special ops on the island we lost, and for the close relatives who either lived here or worked here. Faye Bass got one of the landscapers on the island to donate this cherry tree, and Tony Vita designed the plaque. The memorial took place April 21st, 2002. We contacted all the families of the people on the plaque and all our politicians. It was an unfortunate, wonderful day. Over 400 people attended. A few years after, Brendan Chalice, who lived in Island House, somehow became very close with survivors of the Oklahoma bombing, which took place April 19, 1995. In 2007, a group from Oklahoma came to New York to join us with another service that we had. At that time, they gave us a cutting from their only surviving tree. The tree is right by the promenade down that path near the management office, and is thriving.
Right on the corner.
And is the first few years it seemed like it was never going to grow, and now it's enormous, and it's just a wonderful, thing that they did for us.
And there is a plaque. And there is a plaque that Vicki had made.
And there's a plaque that
So they
talks
didn't
about
tell
the
you.
Oklahoma.
Thank
I
you.
want to add just one thing too.
Sure.
Vicki added something about the spring lobster that yesterday invited me down to. They have so many things going on themselves, it's hard to choose. But one of the men that we lost that day, Ray Downey, it turns out his son is now the CO.
Yes.
of our
Yes.
board.
How wonderful.
At that time, some of you will remember, we provided food for the firemen, clothing, whatever they needed to keep going. We put on Thanksgiving that year, didn't we?
Yes.
To thank us, there is a banner. If you go down Main Street and take the turn off the Helix onto the bridge, there's a big banner thanking this community. If you've never seen it, look for it. It's something special. So they're part of the community. They've been here as long as we have. Take it.
Who wants to say something next?
I was in Manhattan. Uptown, I couldn't see anything. I turned on the TV. Planes were crashed. I heard this. I picked up the phone and called my parents. Because they had just landed in Paris. And they call your mother. What are you calling us for? We're on vacation. Turn on CNN. And I ran to the blood bank and donated blood. On 6th, so it was 2 blocks away. By the time I left, the guy said my blood pressure was high. By the time I walked out the building, all the Sloan Kettering and New York Hospital people were lined up. I came home that afternoon. I waited for the tram. I'm not brave enough to walk over the bridge. We were here. We were in Trellis for days on end. We just went home, came home, went back to Trellis. You didn't want to go home. You didn't want to watch. Even my mother's building, which was Upper East Side, people were sitting in the lobby talking to each other. No one wanted to go. Don't want to be alone. And even my cat couldn't keep me company. I never had. But I remember one night walking up to the firehouse and walking in and saying to whoever was there, "Do you have any food?" And I no, nothing. So we went to the food market. We bought them some refreshments. Told Margie Smith, and within days they were inundated. They said they needed socks. We got them socks. They needed gloves. We got them gloves. At one point, I think they literally had to shut the doors because they had, and for years, they had truckloads of equipment that had been donated. And Margie made Thanksgiving. I remember she arranged Thanksgiving for them for a few years. And this is our community. We never thought anything of it. I remember Father Luke was the priest. He opened the church up. No one complained. The church was open. You could go to church and nothing happened. No one bothered anything. It was Dick, because I really miss Dick. I miss The Wire. I miss schmoozing with him. I miss schmoozing with Sister Regina. I miss that camaraderie we had with all our ministries with everyone. And Ed Bayer lived at 580, and he perished because he was a quadriplegic. There was no way they could rescue him.
He was where?
He was a quadriplegic.
Oh.
And he worked for Blue Cross Blue Shield.
And every day they would go on the subway every day.
She took him to work. That day, his aide was with him, and he had an Orthodox Jewish co-worker who said, "I will stay with him," and sent her home. And she survived, and he perished. There's so many stories. There's so much, and it's our community. It's people we know. It's not those strangers. A lot of people knew Ray Downing. He would go running. People would know him from running around the island. And it's so different here. It's so different than Manhattan. I mean, in Manhattan, everywhere I went, you saw the pictures. Have you seen all over. The first Saturday, we took out a table and poster board and said to people, write your emotions, write this, what you think. And we were going to put it up in the store windows. When we went into Ollie in the card store, we said, can we have 3 pieces of poster board? 5 pieces. I think we ended up having 20 poster boards by the end of the day. People just kept coming and writing their emotions and writing. And this is our community. I mean, I remember going out to Oregon and the same year, or the night right after that. And what did I do? I took New York City caps. Everyone wanted New York caps. Everyone was so proud of New York. Everyone thought New York was wonderful. And, you know, I wish I could say the country is the same way now. It's an embittered nation. It's very sad that so many people just don't want to be part of the normalcy. But I'm so proud of living here through everything. And, you know, it's history. But I write about history, but I always don't want to have to be in the center of it. And, you know, the one more thought. The Saturday after, I had some visitors from Albany, and they insisted on doing a walking tour to the lighthouses. And there we were, and what are the Phantom jets? The ones that, the stealth, you know, the ones that look like bats? What are they?
The B2s.
They were flying over
Yes.
the island. It was really
Recently?
This
No,
was
no,
right
no.
after
Oh, right
11.
after.
It was the
Oh,
same
that
weekend.
night we
And it was like,
flying.
oh my God, these
What
people insist on a tour, and these fighter planes are going over
Oh,
the
yeah.
earth.
I remember
It
that,
was really
right?
scary.
Flying.
It was. So those
Yeah,
are
it was
my
so
memories.
weird and yet comforting.
No traffic, there was no traffic.
Nothing.
Here, you didn't ever think the day.
Hear a pin drop.
There was no one went to work.
But we smelled the pile.
Yes.
And a few days
In a few days,
Yeah.
it smells
We smelled it. I went down one day to try to volunteer, but they were overwhelmed with volunteers.
Right.
And it was on Canal Street, so you could really smell it. It's, I know, my office was in my parents' apartment, 25th floor, facing west. I could see the Jersey Palisades. It was a good view. And the trouble is, I hated to see airplanes fly by. For years after that, I really, every time I saw a plane go by, I would think of 9/11.
Yeah.
Those are my thoughts. Thank you.
You just refreshed my memory.
Wait, did you want to say
I
something?
just wanted to say one thing. For those of you who would like to look at the wiring machine after 9/11, it's on display.
Oh,
It's on the blog, on the Roosevelt Island blog.
Okay, so you can see the actual newspaper.
Judy has a bad habit of reminding me of stuff all the time.
I'm sorry. Your
On
second
that
wife.
day, I started phoning the blood centers, the hospitals, to do a blood drive, and they were telling me that there were lines around the clock. They didn't even need blood. However, they also said that the shelf life of whole blood was 6 weeks, and that in 6 weeks we were going to be out of blood. So Residents Association planned a blood drive on the very first one. We did it on January 5th, 2002. We froze our butts off.
Must have been the coldest.
We decided then, very
We had
smartly,
blood drives.
that the next one we did would be on Roosevelt Island in June. Many of you know that for 15 years after that, every Roosevelt Island Day at the Senior Center, there was a blood drive. So, that's a community. That's a community.
Even though the public safety officers donated all fake to well, that's what happens.
Anyone?
Someone.
I'll just say one thing.
Please.
I have friends of mine who are in Nova Scotia right now. They went to Halifax to be with all those who helped flight come from away.
Oh, yes.
And she's a flight attendant, and she was down at World Trade Center. She was down at Ground Zero. And my friend Jimmy Carney, I don't know if you can hear me, my friend Jimmy Carney was a special forces fireman also, and he was helping everybody out down there. And Jimmy calls me and he says to me, Ange, he says, I have this friend of mine. He says, we have no place to stay. Can we come and stay with you? I said, of course. They came and stayed for 3 weeks. They had the truck that would come and pick them up because you couldn't get on any public transportation at the time. And they would go back and forth every day and stay with everybody and help everybody, do therapy, do physical therapy. And then they would come home at night, take showers, get cleaned. I had them all over the place. It was hysterical.
Did any of them get sick?
You know, my friend she hasn't gotten, she didn't get cancer or anything, but she's got very bad migraines, and it's been plaguing her for quite some time. But she's just been, she doesn't stop. She just keeps going. She helps everybody. She goes all over helping people. She went to Shanksville to see them first. Then she went to, she drove to Halifax. These are very special people in my life, and I'm so grateful. I'm sorry for the sorrow that we all have to share, but I met some wonderful people, and I got to share my life with these people, and they're still in my life 20 years later, and we're still giving thanks for them, you know. And she just called me tonight. She said she was interviewed in Halifax, and she was telling me the story about Roosevelt Island and how I helped her, you know, and then she calls me her mom. I became her mom. So it's a very special time for me because I lost a lot of people too. And I used to go down to every year to celebrate them, you know, to honor them. And I had to stop because I became so overwhelmed with the energy that we had to stop going. It was so, it just overwhelmed your whole being. You know, you could feel all the spirit. And I was grateful that she called me today from Halifax to tell me what was happening. They were having a special ceremony now. So I said, well, I told her I was going to be here. She goes, I'm so happy. She goes, you're going to be with everybody. And, you know, and she said, I'll keep everybody in my thoughts and prayers. So I'm just so grateful too. I love you guys. You're my family. I love this island. You've been very good to me. And when I had nobody, everybody was here. So I love you all. And thank you. Thank you for being a part of my life. God bless you all.
Oh, wonderful. Somebody else. Somebody else.
A couple of things. I'm getting flooded. Memories now, but I just want to announce that on Monday at 2 o'clock that they're showing a Come From Away in the Senior Center. So if anybody hasn't seen the play, yeah, right.
I'm an island. Got a thing for tickets.
Oh, it's wonderful. I just won the Hamilton lottery this year. But I was remembering that day, and a whole bunch of us were standing in front of the church, and we were holding hands and singing as those planes went up. It was such a surreal moment. And then we had a meeting in the church.
Yes.
And we came together. We don't have to go away. Yeah. We came together. And I was a grief counselor, and I was home. I wasn't able to get into work, and I contacted a psychologist friend of mine, and within a few hours we put together a clinic. I don't know if you remember that. I did that even. Management was so helpful. They gave us community space. I said I put up signs asking for any kind of clinicians to come to a training. We did a training, and we were open for I don't know how many days. Everybody had their different skills. We had an art therapist working with kids. It was, you know, such a privilege for me to be able to do that because I felt so helpless, and I knew, you know, this is what I do. I have to do something for my community, and but to be here at any time of crisis in this special place, we're, I mean, even during the pandemic, that we have each other, that the services, I was sick with COVID, I had meals delivered to me, people checking in on me, where else? I mean, certainly not in a big city, but here we have that, so thanks a lot.
Sherry?
Somebody else.
Sherry?
Oh, Joyce.
I worked on the 17th floor.
17th floor.
You were there that day?
Not Sam, but I don't think I've ever gone public all of our European instructors a 15% increase in salary. And I refused. And I contacted a labor lawyer, and we devised an email that I was to send to the parent company. They were located in New Jersey. And so I fashioned the email. They told me to send it